Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I'm here with Ona from Ona's Tarot. Hello, Ona.
Hello, hello.
It is time for moon shadows. Moon shadows, moon shadows. Thank you, Cat Stevens. So I think you have to say that, but I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can say a few bars, I think, without getting in trouble. So Ona, we have a new moon in Taurus.
Yeah.
This is a very powerful moon. I've been saying that for like years now. This is a very powerful moon, but it's so true. Like every one of them is like earth changing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the new moon in Taurus is literally going to be earth changing.
I do too. And because of all the concentration of everything that's happening in Taurus, right? And Venus and Pisces sort of like underneath it all, kind of.
Yep.
It
But it
does.
conjunct Jupiter, conjunct Neptune.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah.
We'll look at the chart, we will look at the chart a little bit later, but it has been it's felt actually, it's interesting because as we're doing this, the moon's actually in Pisces, which for me is like heaven. I love Pisces moons. I don't know how you feel about them, Ona.
I like them. I like Pisces moon. When I pay attention to what I practice or what's coming up and stuff like that is the moon, is I start to build the file and track that, Pisces moon, I always like do my nails. I'm like, oh, I could do that tomorrow kind of thing. And do something like make, a decadent meal or eat a bag of potato chips for dinner if I want to.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of those.
There's a permissiveness about Pisces that, is in doses is good. I have a Pisces moon, so I might be a little bit too permissive when it comes to things like that, like, bags of potato chips and the like. But so we're talking now with this Pisces moon today, and so we're getting the stuff that we in the pre sort of talk that we do before we turn on the camera. We were just talking about the different things that have been coming through previous to this point, and you've had a couple of things that have been very much so.
I really, it's the things I've been picking up on when I start to think about the new moon and open that file and start digging through the research and stuff like that. But honestly, it's the stuff that I smell and taste, which is it's always the pin, that sort of lights up the rest of the story. And it's been rose. I sprinkled rose petals in my sherbet the other night because it's like, is this it? Where does this vibration take me when I physically introduce it? Right.
Wow.
And it tasted like gold, like the element, or like that kind of metal taste, like a soft thing, something conductive. It tastes like gold. I don't know how to describe it. So those are the things, and that's where I start to, jump into, okay, this is about the new moon, because this isn't just starting, it's starting to repeat itself.
Right.
And the colors are starting to repeat itself. And the themes are coming in from directions that I'm not looking for it.
Right. Different, like different sources, different.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. And then so I think, building from the full moon, the vivid dream about bees. And I know you've gotten like a bunch of bees. This morning's video is like, oh, thank God. Maybe this dream was just their waking up from.
Right. Right.
So I wanted to put this list together for the new moon altar, and I want to include honey in that, because I feel like I need to honor them because I've recognized them.
You know, it's so funny. This past weekend I had my two oldest and dearest friends that I grew up with from Jersey City, and grammar school, St. Paul of the Cross, for anybody who wants to know. We went to grammar school, and I've known these girls that long, so we're talking about maybe 50 something years, closer to 60 years, right, that you've known these people. And um their husbands keeps bees. It's so interesting, and I didn't know that. I didn't know he kept bees. And she said, "Oh, I should have brought you some honey." I'm like, "Yes, you should have brought me some honey. What are you doing?" So now she has to come back so she can bring me some honey. No.
Did she have a report? Because that's where I go. During when the summer farmers market starts, I go straight to the bee lady, and who sells all the products and stuff.
Right.
She only makes her products under certain cycles of the moon. She's really strict. I ask her what's happening with the bees.
Yeah.
And she gives me the rundown. She's like, we got, a new queen. Things aren't looking real good. I've had to get pollen packs. And, so I have an idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I won't see her for another month.
Well, be in like the animal oracle decks and stuff, bees are community. And so I think that's really kind of what I think the striving for community is something that we're seeing, on so many levels. Just even with the community that we have as people who are on YouTube and read cards or do astrology, we kind of have a community. And then there's more of that energy, and that's really the energy. The bee and the community is about working together to nurture the queen, and the queen is goddess. So I think we have to take note that we have to start taking care of the earth beneath our feet. And and I think that the consciousness is there. It's just, for it to sort of, I hate to use the word trickle down because it's like spoiled by what, but to trickle down that the energy of and the understanding. And I think when sort of we do stuff, other readers do stuff, it's a way of connecting the vitality of nature and the imminence, the imminent power of nature, with a more sort of cerebral, side that people are familiar with. It's like on a certain level, I think we're bringing people into a little bit maybe deeper understanding of the miracles that surround them, only through our own experience, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Through our own research and our own interactions with nature. I mean, you're at the garden center now, so you're getting a sense of things just as they come in.
Yeah.
Do the plants talk to you? I know this might be a little off subject.
They definitely have they definitely have their own personalities. Now, the first time I would hear something like that, I'd think, well, that's just nuts. But each plant, like, they require their own shade of light and amount of soil, right? And how moist the soil is. And we just kind of like shove them together and water everything, but they all respond differently to what's going on. I move them around to give them more room, or well, they have a vibration. They move a certain way.
Well, there's the theory of the elementals and the divas. And so, like, I don't know, you have more of a container garden. You don't have an outside space, right?
Yeah.
We garden every year. Actually, mostly Michael does. I watch him and I mow the lawn and I do other stuff, right? But he mostly does the gardening. And there's some years, it's like the zucchini fairy is on vacation, like there's no zucchini. And sometimes and a lot of it has to do with, elemental, not a lot
Yeah.
of, maybe a lot of rain, not a lot of, right?
Yes.
But there's also these times when it seems like one species is like taking the lead for the whole season.
Yeah.
And I always feel like it's like the deva of that, or the fairy, the zucchini fairy is like
I'm
just
going to use that if you
queen
don't
of,
mind. But I
no, please
do.
do.
I ask the customers to report what happened last year. What, and if even if I don't ask, sometimes they just volunteer that
Right,
information.
right,
And last year was a bad year. Like the plant went crazy, but they had one very little production.
right,
And what I think what we're learning is, because our weather is so erratic, that a night like this, and you've got a nice healthy looking grow, can shock
right,
the chi. So
right,
you'll have plant, that grows, but you might not have production in flowering and like vegetables.
right.
Last year was zucchini, but the cucumbers went crazy.
Yeah, it just, so
Yeah.
some, and it's interesting that this subject actually came up, because Taurus is all about this, right? The new moon in Taurus is all about our connection to the earth, and our understanding of the messages that we're getting from her, you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, I think, like I said, I think more and more people are aware, and I think because of technology, more people can, and I think, of course, COVID sort of jump started that people would stay home more. And so
Mhm.
they're actually in an environment, they're not traveling to an environment. Now, of course, this isn't true of essential workers and, people, but, a lot of people who, I don't know, I guess the more people who know and the more people who see, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah.
People have to learn this, I think. And,
Yeah.
Uranus is conjunct this new moon. You want me to pull the new moon up? Would that be
Yes.
helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.
This is, you know what, we do, like, you're like, right. We talk about how powerful everything is, but this one really needs attention, and
Yes.
all that is happening with it and around it. The eclipse and Uranus and Saturn just being sad.
Okay. So, so this is actually the chart, but this is for the US. Maybe I should do the other chart. Let's look at the other chart first, because that's the more purely, Aries ascendant kind of thing. This is like purely the energy of the time. And it's very interesting how everything is sort of over to one side, right? There's really nothing on the side of the south node.
Mhm.
There may be an asteroid. I don't know. I don't have the asteroids here. We could look if you want to. But we can see this sort of pile up in earth and water here, interestingly enough. The two elements that are the feminine elements.
Mhm.
The only thing, let's see, well, Chiron, and there's interesting because there's Chiron and Aries. And of course, a lot of what we're seeing in the world with the attacks in the Ukraine and the attacks on women, and just a lot of, there seems to be a lot more um, just people attacking people for what seems like no reason.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff going on, and so that's the Aries stuff. And I think that after the whole lockdown, I think it's affected people's mental health so severely that anybody on the edge, it's just so easy to fall off the edge at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's so very, and that's part of sort of what we're having to come to terms with. And I think part of that, people falling off the edge like that is because they're isolated. They feel alone. They feel like they have no other option but to what is that, act out or push out or
Yeah.
attack, that's the only way they're going to get attention. So it's a both a a serious time, I think, but it's also a time of understanding that and seeing it and doing something about it, you know,
Yeah.
doing something about it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
It is important. It
yeah,
is. I
tomorrow
feel
is,
like, the crisis after, if you could survive a crisis, you're doing okay. We're just starting to sort of piece back together and put it, but if you don't, you become desperate, right? Desperation is past crisis. And a lot of people are desperate right now.
yes, yes, yeah. And we do have a possibility of, um, I mean, everybody sort of plays a part in the big sort of play that we're co-creating or co-experiencing or whatever it is. And because we dream the dream and we dream the reality, really, we can just dream another dream. And there's something that's so simple, and yet so difficult to understand, because we're agreeing to all of this really on some level.
Yeah.
We're not, we are co-creative with spirit. We may not know it. We may not be aware of our co-creation, our co-creative ability. And so we tend to attract to everything in our life that we don't want, because we focus on the things that we don't like or we don't want, instead of the things that we would love to do. I
Yeah.
hate this job. I don't want to, like, okay, well,
I hear
then,
that so much. I
so
hear
let's,
that so much. I hear like initial excitement after this is, we can sort of put back together some kind of pattern where we're back in the workforce. And then so quickly, it happens so fast. They're like, I don't like this. This isn't, you know what? If this happens again, I can't go back. And
yeah,
really not liking what they do, really evaluating is this worth it?
right. And a lot of the problem with that is that many people work within the system. And so if the system isn't, if this, it's like if the system itself is corrupted in such a way that, a lot of these well-meaning, very talented people don't get to do what they've come to do, whether it's help people or whatever, because of paperwork or whatever it is, whatever these things are. It's almost like, you know, and these in these social contracts that we have, like, I think people are just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be part of that club. I don't want to be part of that club. And in that in itself is also, I think that's where community comes in, because I think people are creating, in a way, alternative communities. It
Yeah.
used to be like family, right? Or it would be church, or it would be, and I think it's still, it like family always seemed to be the thing that drew you to the center, right? But I think that's changing. I think we're starting to choose our families a little bit more. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because it's not always good to be around people who are always going to agree with you.
Right, but that's where you direct your energy to,
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
we tend to find people that perpetuate what you believe in to, reaffirm what you believe in,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah,
inviting
I
other,
guess. Yeah, because it's vibrational.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why oftentimes you go through life and you lose friends and you wonder why. It's because you're no longer, I have friends that I consider dear friends, but I feel a different vibration towards them.
yeah.
And it's harder to be around them. And I don't spend time with them necessarily, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't interact with them because, they're just in a different place, you know. So
Exactly. Exactly.
let's take a look at this. Enough of that. No. Let's take a look at this chart. What else do you see here? I mean,
You
what
know,
what
well, Mercury just moves into Gemini,
yeah.
which I think is good. I think that's settling because it rules Gemini, right?
Yes.
So I think that will help. And then the eclipse, it's like the the North Node is going to be, well, not really. It's going to be 12 degrees of Taurus. And
the node is at 22. The new moon is at 11. It's a partial solar eclipse.
Yeah.
It's not too tight, but it's certainly tight. But you have Uranus between the North Node and the new moon.
Yeah.
So you have like the planet of sudden out of nowhere, boom, in the middle of the node and its new moon. So that's very powerful, I think. And Uranus and Taurus wants us to awaken to something. And it's Taurus. So it's what's important, folks. What is essential in your lives? Is all this other bull dinky essential?
Yeah.
Right. So people are really some people I think are going to be forced to choose, and some people are going to choose to move in the direction of what's essential for them. And I would say that the latter is probably the better way to go if you can, but sometimes you can't, even if you know and you're very wise. Uranus can come and kick you in the head. And the thing with Uranus is that you never really know how it's going to manifest itself. It could be a kick in the head, or it could be a fireworks show that you just sit back and enjoy, but you don't know until it happens to you.
Yeah.
And there's also like that electrical, so not to make people panic or anything, but this could also be some sort of like a computer attack of the banking system or something like that. It could be, because Taurus rules money.
Right.
So, there's many ways it could manifest itself, but it may manifest itself in all those ways. And depending on, what your station is or how much that means to you, or whether you're the guy who has to fix the problem. I mean, it's for some people, it's going to be devastating. For others, it's just going to be a thing. But we also have to remember that Saturn is square the nodes now. And so while there's really nothing on the side of the South Node, Saturn is squaring it. And it's the resolution node. So it's sort of it's about going back to our relationships, and seeing, it has to do with control. It has to do with, how Scorpio in relationship can be very controlling.
Yeah.
You do this, you're under my thumb. Remember that song? The girl who had once.
Yes.
Turn me down under my thumb. That's like a very Scorpio song, actually. But it's like reviewing those kinds of situations, and then sort of deciding whether you really want that in your life, and then moving that North Node. And of course, Taurus is also about your self-worth and your self-esteem. What's your relationship to yourself? And so this is an opportunity to start a new relationship with yourself. A new relationship.
It's kind of, you have to, because Mars is in Pisces, and that's what's ruling that South Node energy.
Yes.
Right. So we all dyed our hair red. That was another thing that came up. Even my daughter, unwittingly, between Passover and Greek Easter, she dyed her hair red. So it's like a signal,
Yes. Now you also had well, let's before we get there, I want to talk about the crystals that came up this time for you. But let's take a look at this on the chart of the US, because that's where we live, right? So so we have a Virgo ascendant to this chart, so we're fixing something that's broken, I guess.
Yeah.
The Virgo ascendant, Mercury in that 9th house, I think is maybe good for diplomacy, or certainly plans with others from other countries. So I think that's going to be important. We have the 8th house, other people's money, the house of debt, with all this Taurus energy in it, with Uranus there. So and the 8th house can be banking. So this may very well be some sort of money. Well, you know what? they actually were gonna, I don't know if they did it or not. I think there was actually a bill in Congress to take all the oligarch stuff that they did,
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah.
took, and then put it into an account for the rebuilding of the Ukraine.
Yeah, yeah. All the everything that, yeah, they see, and that's how it works.
Right, right. But this kind of looks like that as well, I think. But there's a lot of stuff in that sixth house as well, which is the military. So, you know, I hopefully we can manifest a peaceful resolution or a quick resolution. If you know, like it's probably gonna, even if there's peace, it's going to be a guarded peace, and there'll be times when it's not peaceful, you know, because they're sowing a lot of seeds of discord in that country now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
even if Russia stopped right now, the Ukrainians might not want to just say, okay, you're done, all right, leave us alone. They may, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's fostering a lot of vitriol. So hopefully this energy, this just general energy at this time, and you know, with Jupiter and Venus and Neptune conjunct to Pisces, this is like an opportunity to like let go and forgive and have a real healing and a real compassion. We'll see if we can do it. You know, I think as individuals, we just have to decide in our lives, who do we need to show the most compassion to? And many of my people that I know, the person they need to show the most compassion to is themselves.
Right. Right.
But that may not be true for everybody. That's true for most of the people I know.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you want to say anything about this, Ona? Or do you want to talk about the crystals?
It's also, you know, well, you mentioned, I think, earthquakes too. If there's a signature for it, don't be surprised you're going to hear about it, right?
Well,
All
yeah,
this
yeah,
earth, all this water, and maybe even volcanic thing. I don't know what everybody's red hair is all about, but it's part
right.
of this whole
Like
story.
Pele, right? Yeah, Pele. Um, it would be interesting to see like where, uh, how this falls in like a place like Sicily, where Mount Etna has been very active, or Italy, you know, just see how it would be affected by this. But
Yeah.
we don't really have the time to do that. But that I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to. Maybe we can do it.
That. Yeah, you know, because the gold that I'm Sicilian, so gold and Italy, it's like those two just the big horn, they're woven very tightly together. So that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And my girlfriend who was over the weekend, the two sisters that came, one of them just like dyed her hair the same color as yours. And I had never seen her hair that color. And I was like, wow, it's so red. So it seems like, and she's a Taurus, interestingly enough.
So interesting.
So yeah.
See how, we assign things to signs and planets and stuff like that, but things kind of start to change and mix. And this might be coming up as sort of this Taurian theme. I don't know. Interesting.
So, let me, I'm going to stop this. We can always come back. And maybe look at the full moon. We can look at the lunar eclipse, right? And no, it's not. Is it a lunar eclipse? No, it's not.
And lunar one's in May.
No, we don't have a lunar eclipse. Do we have a lunar eclipse in May? Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's
Yeah.
in May. Yeah,
Okay.
this is the
Yeah.
partial sun, and the lunar one will be in May.
In
I haven't
May.
even gotten that far yet. Maybe it'll be
All
a good
right.
day to go to the lake, though.
Full moon in Scorpio. We'll have to look. We'll look at the chart. I have the chart.
Okay.
We can get it. So what about the, so we have rose, right?
Yeah.
Rose, we have gold. And then the other crystal that came up for you was
Malachite.
Malachite, yeah. And I had to go get my malachite, well, not mine, my husband's malachite
Yeah.
ball. And it's one of his favorites. And I've never seen a malachite ball myself. This is the only one I've ever seen. And it's very like it's, you know how they're usually very smooth and very,
Yeah.
it's not smooth. It's got like bumps on it.
That's why it's so earth perfect,
It's
right?
just it's just
It's so earth perfect because it's not a perfect orb. It's got its flaws. Yeah,
it's little like spots where there's even like little holes.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing. I do have the crystal Bible here, and I read something about we know you mentioned how it balances your power.
right.
You know, it alleviates if you're on a power trip, it sort of brings you down. It's a good scrying stone because the bands can actually help you tap into your subconscious because you have to focus and it's easier to bring that information in. Also for like radiation,
Mm.
you know, it absorbs like tourmaline, like black tourmaline.
I know
That was
in
interesting.
the UK. You want me to? I can do that.
Let me put him in. Let me just put him on the bed and see if he'll shut up. He's such a good talker.
He who must be obeyed. Oh my goodness.
Should have stayed at the greenhouse with the mice. They're not as intrusive, actually.
So, according to what is it, the Crystal Ally card, she speaks of malachite being as the proper use of will. And so it's about like, are you pushing too far, like somebody like Putin, we could say, or somebody like Trump, or these super aggressive, I'm going to do what I want, nobody can tell me what to do, right? Or it's if you want to stand up for yourself. It
Yeah.
strengthens that. It strengthens the stomach, the solar plexus. It's a solar plexus stone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the solar plexus is like sun, and the sun is gold, and the solar plexus is yellow.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we have to become warriors for the earth. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's
And it's, so if you're building, you know, a new moon altar with the eclipse energy and have malachite, include it, keep it on your person, in your pocket. I always have a bracelet. I don't know what's wrong with this dog. That I keep on all the time. I mean, it's worn, and I know that there's a toxicity thing that's associated with malachite, but I wear this all the time. I don't have any trouble. I mean, maybe I'm toxic.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Now he stops.
So I have a smaller piece that I could easily carry around that I'll be able to move to the altar and just see what happens, you know?
Yeah, I think it's also a protective stone.
Yeah.
And I think it might even be, there's a series of stones that are in the breastplate of the is it the high priest or something, or there's like it's in the Bible, the breastplate. I don't know, I've heard of it, but I think malachite might be one of the stones.
Good.
So
that's perfect for a new moon then.
Right. So we have the right use of will. Of course, we have roses, of course, a love.
Honey.
Honey, the sweetness of life.
Yeah, put some honey on that, on your altar there. I did that one after that dream I had with the bees and their little lucite caskets. I did have lemon, honey. When I got home from the greenhouse that night, lemon and honey tea, and just kind of sat with it and really, really appreciated it, you know, like it was the last cup of honey tea. Like, it just like a big thank you. Like, I hope we always can enjoy this, you know. I worry that I don't know, we've ruined
Well,
like the natural order of things,
well,
honestly,
that's what I mean. And I agree, and I understand what you're
you know.
saying. And I think that I think that we have to foster a relationship with nature. She's waiting for us to come to the table, and she'll work with us. She will work with us. We could, just like I think things are developed via nature to stop us from doing what we're doing, something like COVID, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that if we just would address her and say, what is it that we need to do? And I think the only way to really do that is to be connected to her. Like, you have to actually be in nature, or you have
Yeah.
to surround yourself with plants, or you have to have a crystal, or whatever it is. Like, you have to have something that's a lot that has life force in it.
Right.
And
Right.
a lot of even like the food that people are eating doesn't have a lot of life force in it. And so you have to find how to connect with that, I think. And there are different ways. It's not just about eating, but there are different ways. And
Yeah.
I think it would it I don't think it will be as dire. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it really helps to have a sort of a proactive, co-creative relationship with Mother Nature in whichever way you can do that. And even if it's meditating on, I mean, some people can't leave their home. Some people are not in an area where there is any nature, so it's a lot harder. But there are ways, even watching the nature shows on TV connects you with the energy of nature, and you become aware of what's going on and what's not going on. So,
Yeah.
but I think I talked too much on this one, Ona. I want you to feel free to say anything that perhaps
I think honestly, if more things come up, I always like cinnamon on an altar or in a candle for a new moon. This one is Venus ruled, so there'll be like
Okay.
sticks and powder and cinnamon, sure, maybe a cinnamon buns and rolls and stuff.
Mm,
She likes
mm,
sweets.
that's
That's
right.
so I think if, like some kind of candy sort of thing, is always appreciated for sure. Definitely.
So you want to look at the full moon? That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
on the side of okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not absolutely sure I have it here. So let me just check.
That's like May 15th, right?
I think it's the 16th,
Yeah.
but let
Okay.
me take a look here. Oops, I've only had this computer for 5 years. You think I'd know where everything is? Okay,
You're
let's
lucky it lasted 5 years.
Oh, maybe it's only been 4. I know they seem to really
Planned obsolescence, right?
break. I guess it's just like pain in the neck, really.
Mhm.
All right, full moon. Is this it? May 16th. Yes. Oh, good. I have it. Let me see. Let me see if I have. Hold on one second. I apologize for this. Um,
When,
okay. What's that? Oh, November. Oh, yeah. We don't want to look at that one. That's the day of the election. So I do have the chart. So let me pull it up, but I only have the chart up for the US. So I apologize to anybody who doesn't live in the US. We're going to be looking at the US chart. All right. Okay, so here we go. So this is
okay, this is the total
um
lunar. It's
this
total lunar? Okay.
it's a total lunar. It is
Right.
with Saturn square the nose. And it's the same setup. The south node is still in, the south node is still the resolution node, but the moon is there now. And
Yep.
so in Scorpio. So it's very possible that this particular energy can bring up a lot of resentments from the past. Like people like finally tell you how they really feel about a situation or feel about you, or there can be that energy, because it needs to be let out in order for you to have a place to work from. Because if people aren't really being honest, and a lot of times, you do something or somebody does something to you, and to them it's nothing, and to you it's everything. And
Yeah.
it's not because they don't love you and it's not important to them that you're upset, but if they don't know, so it's these things that can come up, I think, with this, that Mercury at this point is retrograde. So
I'm watching Mercury. I'm thinking, okay, so that's almost, opposite. It's retrograde. It's in Gemini.
mm-hmm.
So that might be just holding back,
It could be, or it could be misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't hold back, or maybe you don't hold back, and you realize that what you had thought of all those, all these years was actually just either a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, or what I mean? It's not, maybe you find out the truth of something.
Yeah.
In this setup, which I kind of like the idea. But look at Mars and Neptune. Yeah. And now Jupiter is in Aries, so Jupiter is moved. So between the new moon and the full moon, which are both eclipses, we have Jupiter move from Pisces into Aries. And that really, anytime a planet goes into Aries, especially the slower moving ones, it usually means a whole new cycle, right? So Jupiter in Aries, a whole new cycle of learning, a whole new cycle of, exploring, I guess. But it could also be the expansion of conflict.
And Mars, its ruler, is still hanging out there in Pisces.
Right. Which can be, that a lot of times I see Pisces, Mars and Pisces as the energy of the spiritual warrior, like the light worker. And so I think that we need to come together as light workers and shine our light. I mean, I say it almost after every reading I do: shine your light, shine your light, shine your light.
Yeah.
Because we need the light now. We need, and people need a helping hand, and people need, in certain cases, we need to reconnect with each other from a place of coming out of the fear of 2020. Remember 2020, we had that Saturn Pluto conjunction in Capricorn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fear personified in the sign of fear. Really, Capricorns can, there's reasons to be fearful, right? When this Ukrainian war started, we had Mars and Venus and Pluto all in Capricorn.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to be afraid. In a way, it is fearful, but we can't let that drive us, right? We can't let that drive us. We just need to be aware that maybe it's a little bit of a dangerous time.
And Pluto is going to be retrograde too.
Yes, Pluto stations on is it, hold on, I think it's right before the full moon, is it?
Okay.
Pluto stations on the 29th, and the new moon is on the 30th. So this new moon, that, the moon shadows new moon that we're supposed to be talking about. Yeah, we have Pluto. We have Mercury moves into to Gemini. Pluto goes retrograde, and then we have the solar eclipse at 11 degrees. Yeah. Oh, and the Sabian symbol for 11 degrees. Let me read that to you. That's important, I think. Assuming I can read. I mean, I can read, but I can see the words. Hold on. Okay. Says a woman watering flowers in her garden. Development of the powers of the mind on which ego consciousness is based. The psychomental nature of a human being takes form out of the fulfillment and transcendence of biological functions and drives, much as the bud appears as the sap rises and bursts forth into bloom. As the roots, so the flowers is an old axiom. The consciousness itself, in this wondrous effervescence, it lavishes its attention upon its love, alas, usually a possessive kind of love, as in this is my garden. Thus the ego develops. It may develop in a negative, resentful way if belated frost destroys the buds. And the key word here is cultivation. And so it really is about like the seeds we plant and what we're nurturing and how strong are the roots.
Yeah.
And in the Kabbalah, the tree is actually upside down, where the roots are in the top of the tree. And so your connection to divinity, which is the top of the tree, will tell you how strong your tree is and how strong your roots are and how much you can flourish in the world of the physical world.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. The Kabbalah
Really cool.
is just so interesting.
Yeah.
So much to know. So much to know. So what do you see anything else in this that you might want to mention?
Well, I was thinking I started that chain where with Pluto's retrograde and Capricorn, who rules Capricorn, Saturn squaring the nodes.
Right.
I started that chain going down and moving to it's going to be powerful. And,
yeah. And Pluto is trining the sun here. It is sextiling the moon.
Okay.
So Saturn really, in a way, Saturn is really the only planet that's actually in a stressful aspect. Everything else are trines and sextiles. You see that?
Yeah.
Here's the trines, right? Here's the sextile. Here's more trines. And then we have this big red square, and that's Saturn. And so Saturn is about taking responsibility. And so we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our world.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to. We have to.
Yeah.
There needs to be a line drawn in the sand, and it's not a line between countries to say I'm better than you and you don't come over this line. But it's about, enough is enough. We have to focus on the things that are most important. And those things are the feminine things, our feelings,
Mm-hmm.
our mental health, our bodies,
right.
Our planet, food, shelter, viability
right.
of staying on the earth. This is all what is being we're being reminded of.
I keep hearing over and over like interpersonal relationships also. And I don't know if it's something maybe I heard in it, but it just like cultivating that in a way that, we've become so separated with social media, right? Yeah. And it's so detached from being with a physical person next to you. And trying to, stay on top of that because that is important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what the bee teaches us, right? It's not like one worker and one queen. It's like a million workers and so we need each other. Yeah. It's interesting because this year, 2022, is 6 vibration.
The lovers, right?
The lovers, right? Mm-hmm. So decisions, relationship. But the 6 is the hexagon, right? It's the same. Actually, last year I turned.
There's the hive.
Yes, last year I turned 60 and I saw this little necklace. I should have actually worn it. And it's a little hexagon, like a bee thing. And it's got it's amber and there's two little bees on it. It's really sweet. And I saw it online because I don't usually like buy stuff online. It's just not me. I don't usually have money to like. I just like, oh, I love that. I'm gonna buy it. Like that's not how I live mostly. And I saw it and I was like, oh, wouldn't that be cool from 60? You know, the hexagon and all that stuff. And my husband said, he said, oh, you want that for your birthday? I'll get it for you. It wasn't super expensive, but it was a little bit more than it was actually a little more than it was probably worth, but I still love it.
Yeah.
And he bought it for me for my birthday. So
Oh,
I think that 6 is really about we're in that time. We have the opportunity to change the world because we're creating the world. So let's recreate. Let's stop and really like get out of all this ridiculous bullshit, quite frankly, that most of what people are talking about with these crazy people. Stop.
right.
You reach out to those you love, reach out to the people that you need to resolve some stuff. The South Node in Scorpio is asking us to resolve our old resentments. And the only way to really do that is through forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to forgive others, forgive ourselves, release, let go. Like Elsa says in Frozen, let it go, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the little kids are reading.
True. I love that you do like forgive yourself. You've got to forgive yourself. You can't be riddled with the things that close you down. Here's an opening. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's shame, maybe it's you didn't feel like you didn't live up to your potential or whatever it is. There's some stuff you've got to let go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't, that old expression, charity begins at home, is true. It's true. You have to be charitable to yourself.
Yep.
What a concept.
Yep. Or as my cousin Vinny would say, you got to pay yourself first.
That's right. It's true. True. One of the, I was in business for many, many years. And one of the things that I tell new business people is pay yourself first. And you're usually last in line. And you can build a business and you can work really hard, but you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
No. Another little tidbit around Taurus, right? If you don't
pay yourself first.
If you don't value yourself, you can't expect anybody else to value you.
Yeah. That's very Taurian, right? Pay yourself first. I love it.
Pay yourself first. I love it. All right, Ona.
Thank you.
I love these moon. I love spending time with you. It's always so much fun.
I love this. I love doing moon channels. It really helps me like lean into this energy more and more, sort of, like I said, opening that research file and it's building and it's really profound to me. It really is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, I think I just love it. So I did want to pick an oracle card, and I have the Celtic tree oracle next to me. So I'll just pick one card and see what comes up for that. And I don't know if you wanted to pull a card on your end or not, but let's see what this says first.
The one I pulled this morning, it's still in front of me, and I'm thinking, how am I going to be able to? Because I love the the year of the 6, right?
Yep.
And Venus in charge of all the Taurian energy, the yin yang, and how it's just melting and sort of reversed. The light is, feminine in this thing, and that sort of interpersonal relationship kind of thing. Maybe that's why it keeps flashing that in my face, interpersonal relationship. And I'm still looking at this, but I could pull, you want to do a goddess? I could pull a goddess card.
Yes. Let me, Yes, go get the goddess card, and then I'll tell you what I picked. Which you're not going to be surprised. I don't think.
Right. No, I know. No. That's how these things work, right?
Okay. So what did I pick? Honeysuckle. Thank you very much. All right. It says
That is how it works.
With the Ogham card's guidance, you will be enabled to distinguish what is false from that which is of real worth and usefulness on your spiritual journey. So finding your way to its center, the honeysuckle will help you to tread safely, remaining true to your beliefs and principles with sureness and lightness in your step. The card will also help to guide you yourself and ignore distractions until you reach the point of flight where the fertile secrets of the soul lie waiting. It says here, let me see, I just want to say this unique jewel. Okay, never mind. Okay. All right, that's what I want to say. So.
And the bees like it so much, there's actually honey that is honeysuckle honey.
Honeysuckle honey.
Right? So if I go to Produce Roll tomorrow, I'll look for it because they always have some weird ass honey in that section. I got Kuan Yin, compassion.
Yep.
Thank you. Right?
Yes.
We'll use this. I'll use this for the altar. She's floating on a lotus.
That's right. A pink lotus.
Pink lotus.
A rose-colored lotus.
Yep. Perfect. We're going to nail this.
We are.
We're going to nail this new moon.
All right, honey, you take care. Everybody, it's been a pleasure. And Ona and I will be back next month when the new moon is in Gemini, right?
Yeah. And
that should be chatty. Yeah. That might be a 2-hour one. Just kidding. All right, Ona. Everyone, have a wonderful month. Please like and subscribe and go to Ona's channel. She does some beautiful work, and of course, seeing Jibs and Cannoli is always a pleasure. Hearing Giblets sometimes isn't as pleasurable as seeing him, but
oh,
no, it's all good.
That's how he is.
He has a voice, and he's going to use it. Maybe that's.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because if people are thinking about getting this breed, these French bulldogs, because they're fashionable or because they have little people faces, that is what they're like. They're very demanding. They're jealous. They always want your attention. I have to throw a handful of food across the room and run out the door because he just gets so. That is the personality. So I'm going to be unapologetic about the dog because if you think about getting these dogs, really do your research, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And he has a voice and he has a right to express himself. And Taurus rules the throat. So maybe he's reminding us to express what you need. Yeah. Yeah. Bulls. Thank you, Jibs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, Jibs had something to say. Yeah. All right, guys. Take care, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you.